Hello and welcome to Murder Dictionary Podcast. My name is Brianna and that is Kelly.
Hey.
So before we get started, we always want to remind you of a few things that are in our description and show notes every week. We always have links to our resources for research in case you want to do any further looking into the cases or
And now, a thought from Geico Motorcycle. It took 15 minutes to take a spirit animal quiz online.
Please be the cheetah. Please be the cheetah.
And learn your animal isn't the cheetah, but the far less appealing blobfish.
Oh, come on.
To add insult to injury, you could have used those 15 blobfish minutes to switch your motorcycle insurance to Geico. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance.
anything like that. Watch some documentaries, some YouTube. We got you. We also put links to resources for things like domestic violence and anti-bullying and suicide hotlines and stuff like that in case you need those resources. Our description and show notes always have the links to our Patreon and our Threadless. So if you want larger merch items like t-shirts, phone cases, notebooks, a bunch of stuff like that, you can go to our Threadless. And if you want smaller items like stickers and buttons and condoms, magnets, those are on our Patreon. And the link is in our show notes. So we have a few new Patreon people that we want to thank this week. We want to say thank you to our new Patreon supporters, Alicia, Chandler, Bridget, Jessica, Kayla, and Mariana.
Chandler. That's Alicia, Chandler, Mariana,
Bridget, Jessica, Kayla,
Phoebe,
Joey,
Ross.
Everybody's there. The whole crew.
And friends.
And we also wanted to say thank you to Madeline Izagiri.
Thanks, Madeline.
And it's her birthday. So it's a special thank you, happy birthday to Madeline.
Should I get naked?
Yes.
Okay.
At least flop a titty out. Minimum. Bare minimum.
Flip.
Just a little birthday floppage.
Happy birthday, Mr. President, Madeline.
That was perfect.
Okay.
You guys should see it. There's so much just titty. So I think that's pretty much it for announcements. And I don't think I'm forgetting anything, am I?
No.
Every week I ask you this because I always feel like I'm forgetting
I'm
something.
the worst person to ask.
You smoke way more weed than me, so I shouldn't be looking at you for that.
Remember, I cut down heavily and my memory has gotten way worse.
That's true, I forgot.
Everything is on fire.
So yeah, unless I remember something like halfway through the show and just start screaming out an announcement,
Yeah.
Maybe
Cool.
that'll happen.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we can get to today's story. And we are on Z.
For Zappos.
You did the wrong one.
Shit.
We're doing Z for Zealots.
Mhm.
And this is part 2.
Duh.
Bleh.
Okay, cool. All right. So I have a little story for you about Jacob Andrew Crockett.
Jacob?
Jacob.
Did you mean to say it that way?
No, I told you things are worse with that pot. Jacob Andrew Crockett.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Jacob was born on July 31st, 1995 in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
95?
Mm-hmm. He's a baby.
Oh, he's a youngin'.
He's a baby.
Wow.
Un baby. To Ben and Kai Crockett. He attended high school in Chandler, Oklahoma, and graduated from Stillwater High School.
More Chandlers. The theme for today is Chandler.
Friends. And actually, you'll learn not to have friends in this story. So,
Oh, this is exciting.
yes.
I love that lesson. I feel like I've been living that my whole life.
So he was attending Northern Oklahoma College, and he has a twin brother named Jesse Crockett. So Jacob and Jesse Crockett.
Jesse and Jacob?
Jacob. So let me tell you a little bit about Jacob.
Okay.
He was a caring, sweet, loving kid. He was the son of Oklahoma State Trooper Ben, and he was a metalhead and a lead vocalist of a band named Hurik, Hurik.
Hurik. Like short for hurricane?
Yes.
Okay.
So his basically just loved metal, kind of dressed in black a lot and dabbled with Wicca. Well, supposedly dabbled with Wicca.
So he's a Hesher.
Is that in Herrick? I don't.
Oh,
what's a Hesher?
I guess I'm old.
No,
like that's,
no.
I think it's
smart.
an old term. No, like Heshers are like metalheads. They're like the kids that you would see on the quad with long hair. Like they always walk really intensely.
Yeah.
Wear band T-shirts.
That's exactly what
they
this
look
kid
like.
Looks
They're
like.
in Pantera. You know?
Exactly. He's got
Yeah.
a couple piercings, but he's just a gorgeous kid. Like, obviously,
Aw.
you could tell in high school he just had got the hair in front of his face, but he's just a beautiful, adorable kid. And he's just really nice. Everybody, from this, I've heard that he's just an awesome kid. So people said that Jacob
Well,
was...
I can't wait for that to go south.
He killed everyone. But he... people said he frequently like stood up and protected people that were like less fortunate and those who didn't really feel like they had the greatest life.
He was always a champion for the underdog.
For the underdog, yeah.
Okay.
Someone said he was in all reality a real happy kid with a heart of gold and a big smile. That was his friend Nokos Foley.
Aww.
He was always ready if you had any troubles going on to sit down and talk with you. Foley, his friend, met him and his brother Jesse like in between classes at high school and kind of just stayed friends with them for a long time.
Okay.
The DA and his family stated that he basically was a good kid because of his faith and his relationship with God and how his family raised him. He
was like a Christian metalhead.
Exactly.
Okay,
right?
Change the game.
He wasn't a druggie or a Satanist, basically, or a practitioner of witchcraft, and he was sometimes portrayed basically after this as like a witch or anything like that. So Jacob was the Stillwater High School graduate and attending the college, like I said, and worked as a customer service representative of Carmike Cinema of Stillwater. He loved music and animals, and because he loved animals so much, he was studying to become a veterinarian, metal veterinarian.
Cute.
And he was pretty much devoted to his twin brother, Jesse.
Uh-oh.
So his friend Foley said that he admired Crockett's eagerness to grasp each day. One morning, Foley woke up to Crockett shaking him just like to wake him up just because he wanted to go on a walk and like grasp the day, you know? He's just a really happy kid, which is kind of, a lot of people think metalheads and stuff like that are just like death and,
Yeah,
but
it's not always the case.
Yeah, he just seemed like the champion. He always tried to help people. If someone had been kicked out of their house, which a lot of kids in high school had to do, him and his family kind of helped turn everything upside down. I guess that was just like their Christian values and stuff.
Oh, I need him as an alarm clock because I have zero looking forward to the day.
Yeah, I think I couldn't do it. I'm so mean in the morning.
I know.
I'm just like, get the fuck out of here.
I'm the worst.
He was not surprisingly, I guess because he's portrayed as a Wicca or just as like a metalhead, he was a member of a Christian metalheads Facebook group.
Oh.
He likes a bunch of Christian-based fan pages, some including the Catholic Association, God Loves You, Jesus Christ, and the Digital Bible. And this is the metalhead. This is the witch. Just a heads up. This is why I just was like, I get there's religion, but on one side...
Yeah, they definitely don't really match each other.
It doesn't.
Does seem like some polar opposites, but... I mean, I think that's a good thing. You need people that are a little bit different to show you that not every Christian looks the same.
Yeah.
And not every metalhead is going to be the same.
Exactly. I love surprises.
Yeah.
He had a couple friends. So he has shared an apartment with his brother, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a couple friends from high school, 2 brothers named Samuel and Isaiah.
Biblical names, so they
Are
were other from Christian family, I'm sure.
Exactly. Extremely Christian. And they used to hang out a lot. Jacob would also like always open up their homes to both of these brothers.
Mm.
Let me give you a little background about Isaiah.
Uh-oh.
So this is from Isaiah's brother. He had a blog online, and so this is kind of their background. They were kind of raised on welfare and just strict rules, and they were schooled in the south side of San Antonio. Their father was abusive, and the mom kind of just let it happen.
Mm.
The dad was in the Air Force, and he would be gone a long time and just come back whenever. Mom kind of was just a stay-at-home mom taking care of the 4 boys and 1 girl, and the abuse kind of got worse. Mostly people say from the pressures from debt, so the mom decided that they were going to move to Oklahoma, and turns out that his mom was in trouble for murdering the dad, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah. So, okay, this is just the
that
background.
escalated quickly.
Okay, so this is
they had a little money problems, and also he's dead.
So, but the kid didn't really know. So this is him looking back in the thing, and
so nobody knew it happened.
They didn't. They just knew
Dad
they moved.
Disappeared.
Yeah, so Dad
day.
disappeared, and then they had to move, right? So that's how they ended up in Oklahoma. They went from San Antonio, and they kind of stayed with their grandparents and stuff like that. So they didn't really know. This is their foundation as kids. So
whoa.
Isaiah Marin's father, Raul Marin II, was 29 when the San Antonio authorities found him bloodied in August of 1998. Basically, he had separated from his wife, and he failed to show up at work. The cops went to his house and found his rear patio door and Raul Marin face down in a puddle of blood on the floor of his den. So there was blood splattered on the walls and on the carpet, and he had been stabbed several times in the back, and his skull had been crushed.
Shit.
So 3 weeks later, the wife had, like we said, just picked up and moved to Oklahoma. And her new boyfriend, Arnulfo Diaz Ayala, who was 28, was sentenced to 35 years in prison as part of a plea agreement for admitting to carrying out the slaying at the request of their mom. So I guess they had been having an affair, and to get rid of the husband, they ended up killing him.
Whoa.
Isaiah's mom was found guilty in 2000 of conspiracy to commit murder and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Her conviction was overturned 8 years into her sentence, though. So this had kind of an effect on Isaiah. You know, he didn't really have that much of a stable home, but they did have Christian beliefs, and he had a history of mental illness with his first profound episode of psychosis around 18 or 19.
Yeah, it's usually in the late teens when it manifests itself.
Yep.
Especially in young men.
So like I said, the Crockett brothers kind of shared an apartment together and kind of let Isaiah and Samuel spend the night at their apartment. They would hang out, and they were just loving and fiercely loyal to their friends. Their dad said that they knew the boys, and they would just always let them hang out, and they were buddies.
Yeah.
Jacob was about 19 years old around this time, and had just started college and was kind of working to help pay for expenses. So even though, remember how I said he's a really giving person, he's still working as a kid. He was giving. He'd share his car, his food, his money, his apartment with Isaiah. Always just trying to help him out. And this led to October 29th, 2014.
Best day ever?
Yeah, actually really near Halloween.
Good stuff happening?
Yeah.
Not a murder.
No, not at all. Marin's Facebook profile featured a couple of public posts which he professed his faith. Like, he was quoted saying, "Tried to take on a demon and God had helped me through the tough parts."
What?
And on August 8th, a post said, "Got to be careful with my words and pay closer attention to my emotions. Need to figure out how to keep on speaking when I'm with the presence of the Lord God."
I just don't understand when religious people talk. Like, it just goes over my head. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about?
So that's like the difference in that he's talking and professing, whereas like your kindness and your actions, like Jacob's doing, is more like along the lines of being a Christian, right? Or what like they kind of teach about. So
if you are really something, you don't have to just beat it into people's heads all the time. Like, you just live it.
You just live. You
and
just
lead
do.
by example.
Just be. So Samuel Marin, who was pretty much the only witness to this crime, said that they were all playing cards, and Isaiah had been watching YouTube videos about Christian beliefs, specifically the book of Matthew, which kind of goes through, you know, the resurrection of Jesus and everything like that. When all of a sudden Isaiah decided to pick up a black large sword, took it out of the sheath, and began swinging around.
In a playful manner, like making lightsaber noises, or
vroom, vroom, vroom.
Exactly, because that's okay.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad if it was like a fake knife. Some people say it's a machete in this, you know, but
okay,
it's definitely a sharpened sword. So
they're
just playing cards, having a good time. You're in their home.
You brought a sword to a card fight.
Yeah,
the fuck?
I don't get it. And I guess Samuel was like, "Hey, dude, you know, maybe not swing that around so much." And
that's like, an outdoor toy, dude.
Exactly, outdoor toys only. But he was like, "I never cut you, bro. Like, don't worry about it. I never cut you." So A couple moments later, Samuel heard the sound of someone being stabbed, which is really frightening to me because I don't know what that sounds like.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine what that was. So
yeah.
And then Samuel saw Jacob with blood gushing from his chest.
Whoa.
And Samuel took off. Samuel was like, fuck this. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's the normal reaction.
Yeah, why? Totally. Isaiah followed him and was trying to console him. You know, he's trying to calm down his brother. And he said he would explain why he killed Crockett from the letters he would write him in prison.
What?
I know.
I can't tell you now, but just wait like 6 months.
Like, come on, couldn't you have told me before? Couldn't I have not been here?
You could have talked this out first.
Yeah, you could have just at least like maybe I could have just gotten a little bit of help. So, but Isaiah had planned the murder. He had told which is crazy because he had told Jesse, the twin brother, that he was planning on killing someone. So I don't know if no one took it seriously or they just didn't. I don't know why it wasn't taken seriously, but in statements to police, Marin said he was planning on killing more people that day and even originally planned to wait for Jesse to return and kill him. Marin's first attack on Jacob was stabbing him several times in the chest, which Jacob tried to fight off. And as Samuel fled the scene, he continued to butcher Jacob before running after Samuel.
Whoa.
After he had tried to console his brother, Isaiah returned to the apartment where Jacob was still alive and chopped at Jacob's head, face, and torso, basically decapitating him.
Fuck.
Yeah, which sucks because Samuel could have, I mean, not to blame, but Samuel could have gone inside and maybe...
There's a possibility he could have survived with some help.
Totally. And that's your bro. That's your friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's someone that you were just in their house. But I guess at times you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you're so terrified. You can't really think logically the way that we can.
Yeah.
Just calm outside of the situation.
I saw someone choke the other day, and I was like, what do I do? Like, straight
just
up.
complete
didn't know what to do.
Panic.
Yeah, panic. Had no... Well, I saw someone giving them the Heimlich, but I was too short to give this person the Heimlich. They lived.
But really, like, you just don't know how to act in a situation. There's no way to prepare, like, hey... If there's a sword attack, what would I do?
Exactly.
Like, you don't really plan for those things. And when it happens in front of you to people that you're close to, then, I mean, there's no way to really, you're paralyzed.
Yeah. And you think, like, instantly you think, like, that's what really gets me about the people that stop, like, mass shootings, stuff like that, and they'll, like, run after them. Like, how do you even decide to...
Yeah, I admire that so much because I don't know that I would have that in me.
Yeah, it's fight or flight, and not a lot of people choose fight.
Yeah, I'm a flighter.
I'm fucking out of here. So...
I don't know, I say that, but then there's been times where, like... I think I told you this story of, like, I heard a woman screaming a while back, and I just ran towards it and just started calling 911. Like, I can hear it coming from that parking garage. Yeah. I'm going. I don't think there's anything I can do. Yeah. But, yeah.
You did. What was it, a spider?
No, you could hear men. Like, you could hear men. And so I never...
You didn't tell me that.
Really?
What?
Yeah, I think it possibly was just a fight between two men and she was screaming. But I don't really know because I actually never got eyes on her. I ran closer and I saw them kind of just scurry away. There was 3 of them, but yeah, I don't know.
Fight, flight, or call 911.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know I'm not going to survive if I'm, just the only one by myself. I'm not that big and I'm not that strong.
Just want to see you start doing roundhouse kicks. Like, boom, 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 just like helicoptering your hands with groceries in your hand.
I mean, very few people know that I'm actually Steven Seagal. I'm just like an episode of Scooby-Doo where I just start zippering from the top of my head and Steven Seagal just pops out.
That's terrifying. Mushy, mushy.
Underneath these sweet titties are some sweet man titties.
Doesn't he know Japanese?
I don't know.
I'm
He's such a weirdo.
That's great. Back to the fight or flight.
Sorry for
that
sidebar.
So Samuel told police that Crockett and his brother had disagreements because Jacob and Jesse were practicing witchcraft and Isaiah had strong Christian beliefs. But again, everyone, I don't know if they just, if they just dabbled in some other things and maybe looked up a couple. It was just never really confirmed that they were into witchcraft at all. If anything, it was the opposite.
But the thing is if you are a zealot, truly, you can't handle any nonconformity to religious practices. So anything outside of the box has to be terrifying to you. Like normal religious people, like a little bit more flexible. But if you are a true zealot and just like, basically the Lord is the only way, what it says in the Bible is the only way, any deviation from that plan and that blueprint is a sin and it's punishable by whatever. So he probably thought he was doing God's work.
That's the worst. Yeah, is that they think they're doing something good. He already had it planned out.
Right.
But in reality, it's just hypocritical because this kid seems more religious. I mean, he may not be YouTubing the book of Matthew, but...
Right, but he's living by the example set in religion.
Exactly.
He's living the principles. He's living the morals.
Yeah, he seems to be a better example of a representation of that religion, of both. Anything, a better religion than, or you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying.
And it just is one of those things where I think in order to be like a really deeply religious Christian, it's hard for you to understand how other faiths aren't evil. Like witchcraft, Wicca, like all these variations of whatever are really, they're just like Christianity. I mean, everything's a religion, everything's a set of principles and practices and rituals and etc. Yeah. It's all the same.
Yeah, it's all an end goal is very similar, right? The path of getting there is different.
And in order to be religious and be like fanatically religious, you kind of have to believe that your way is the only way. Yeah. And that's where the conflict lies. But really, I mean, there's nothing evil about Wicca or witchcraft or whatever.
Not at all. And that's pre-Christian, isn't it? I feel like it's like a pre-Christian.
It's got way more history.
Like, isn't Christmas Christmas based on pagan and rituals and stuff like that?
I am not the expert in this
shit. It totally is. So,
but it sounds right. You know what you're talking about.
Nah. But I don't know. It's the same thing with sexual orientation too. Like if there's no bending of it and you think your way is right, it's that fanatical thinking that'll lead you to do something
right insane. When you're religious, there's pretty much a whole like list, a long laundry list of things that you can do wrong. So it doesn't matter what it is.
Stressful. That's really stressful.
Yeah, I can't cope with that kind of shit.
Like be religious, all good. Like this kid, like Jacob is a good representation, and I would love, if I'm gonna be religious, I'm gonna be like him. Right.
Just be a good dude.
Yeah, just be a good dude. Like I said, after I said that he ran out of the house, and he came back and he was telling his brother, I'm going to tell you why I did this after. He ended up calling the cops. So he called a 911 dispatch and at 2:46 p.m. and he stated that he was in the El Vaquero restaurant parking lot, and he told the dispatcher, I murdered someone, and then basically rambled on about sacrificing and magic.
So all that stabbing, he really worked up an appetite? Is that what happened?
He's like, 2 tacos, pastor.
I've done a lot of work tonight. Yeah. Like, what the fuck is that?
Large horchata.
Was that just like the business that was next door? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
So he just kind of ran to a random place?
He just ran it into this parking lot, and then you can see...
Because I was picturing him with like a bloody sword walking in to get tacos. I was hoping that was not the case.
He just didn't walk in.
Because that would be the most terrifing thing ever.
I would ruin tacos.
That would ruin tacos. I never want to eat a burrito ever again.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Para llevar to go, please. But around, I guess there was a Toyota next door, Toyota dealership or something, but the employee there had called the cops too. And the police were dispatched to the 4900 block of West 6th. And when asked his name, the caller said Isaiah Marin. And the dispatcher, of course, how they ask a bunch of questions and stuff, asked how he knew he had killed someone. And his response was, I hacked them to death with a machete.
What kind of question? I'm not bothered by, like, I am bothered by that answer. Let me take that back. But I'm really bothered by that question. Like, how do you know that you killed someone? Like,
I guess they want you to admit it on a recorded line, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's just kind of weird. Obviously, I know someone's
Yeah.
either alive or dead. That's a weird fucking question.
You know what? 911 dispatchers are the most frustrating people. I have been on the phone where I'm just like, I don't know. Just send help. It doesn't matter. Just get here, please, please, please,
Right?
please. And they just really try to keep asking you. I've been so upset with 911 dispatchers.
Yeah.
That's a tough job.
Oh, yeah. Totally tough. But also, don't ask stupid questions.
But they have to, right? Isn't that like
I don't know. Let's find out.
Okay. So he was spotted. Marin was spotted walking on Oklahoma 51, which I guess is like a highway, covered in blood and carrying a cross in between, his sword that he was carrying. So he had a cross while he was walking around.
Whoa.
And the police department basically detained him at gunpoint. He dropped the knife, laid on the ground, and told police the location of the apartment. The cops went to the apartment, found blood smears on the doorknob, pretty much up the stairwell, onto the kitchen, and on the second level. Jacob's body was lying at the top of the stairs and had a bunch of stab wounds in it. And his head was pretty much almost off of his body.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's pretty sad because, like I said, Jesse's brother lived there too, and he just happened to be at like a dentist appointment when this happened.
No.
And if he had come back in time too, Isaiah was going to kill him as well. And
He's probably got so much survivor's guilt, you know?
yeah, absolutely. So Jesse had told police that Isaiah was a religious zealot and a heavy drug user. And then I had to look at the picture of this kid, and if you looked at this kid, you'd be like, meth. For sure. For
Faces
sure.
of meth.
Which is, honestly.
Does he look like he's from Florida?
Oh, my God. So they say that, drugs may have been a factor, and they found evidence in the apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I was kidding.
The pockmarks tell you.
You mean God told you to do this with a sword and drugs weren't involved?
And
That's
you were
more
sober.
surprising.
Yeah. So it said he used marijuana, which is lame that they put that first. But synthetic marijuana, which is insane if you use regular marijuana.
Which is insane.
I just don't get it. If you have regular marijuana,
why use synthetics?
it's just,
But it is the high is different.
Is
it? You're getting something different out of it.
yeah, I guess it's really crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try it, but they found ecstasy, cocaine, and datura seeds. Don't know what those are. I guess datura, which I think it's a hallucinogen.
Oh. Man, this guy knows how to party.
Yeah, he was 22, 21.
Wow.
I didn't know how to do that. I didn't have datura seeds.
I think I had everything but datura seeds.
I bought some. Yeah.
It was like a human garbage disposal for drugs.
I just found some salvia.
You know how goats will eat anything? That's how I did drugs.
Did you chew them like that too? You just chewed your weed? Then
You have no idea. Mom, earmuffs.
Earmuffs. Yeah, we'll just put that in before. So after the murder, Isaiah was, obviously incarcerated. But at first they wanted to see if he was mentally fit to stand trial, because I guess he was telling his lawyer, because they thought he wasn't, and he was telling his lawyer they were part of The Exorcist, the movie from like 1973 or whatever, and I don't know how he thought. So that's also a religious thing too, but he thought he was part of this really religious ass movie where you gotta fucking, exorcise the demons. The demons. So they wanted to see if he wasn't. At first they decided he wasn't, but
yeah, that seems pretty obvious.
But then they decided he was.
Shut your mouth.
Swear. So
take it back.
Swear.
How the fuck does that happen?
I don't know. I guess he
Who
had
are
been...
the fucking psychiatrists researching this? Like, hey, let me interview you.
Yeah.
So
they said he wasn't, and then when he was incarcerated, he was given medication. So then it kind of evened him out, making him fit to stand trial.
Okay.
And I guess
still...
you would think that they would...
I don't know. So he didn't plead insanity or anything?
He did, and then they took it back, and then he was on... He was fine because he was on...
That's crazy.
Yeah, so his written guilty plea had indicated that he had been treated for mental illness since October, 2 years before he had stabbed Jacob. But, like I said, the attorneys maintain that he was not mentally competent, with like I said, the first psychotic episode was around 18 or 19, but then a state psychologist found that he was because of, the drugs.
Oh, God.
After this, the defense lawyer started the proceedings that Wednesday morning when he was in court in 2015, saying he had no problem with the competency. Can you say that word? Competency? Competency evaluation made by the Oklahoma Forensic Center. So the defense waived the right for a jury trial, and the district judge, Philip Corley, accepted Marin's competency on behalf of the court.
Huh.
The plea bargain had been struck with a DA and Marin, and he was ready to plead guilty for the charge of first-degree murder. He approached the bench to make his plea, and then when asked by the judge if he was aware he was making a plea, he responded yes. And then the judge asked him what he was pleading guilty to.
Uh-oh.
So he had stumbled through his response. No one knows if it was because of, nerves or remorse or anything, but he said, I took the life of Jacob Crockett intentionally by stabbing him to death. The court accepted his plea. The district attorney then announced that several victim impact statements would be read.
I thought he was going to say something crazy.
That's what
the
I
way
thought
you
too.
set that up, I was just like, wait a minute. Is he going to lose his shit right now?
No, but because he's on drugs. So that's exactly what I thought too. He was definitely...
So maybe his mind was cloudy and it took him a second, but yeah.
He definitely admitted to it, which I thought was kind of... I don't know. I thought he was going to shout out some religious crazy shit, which also to me just thinks like, how many people, if they were on medication, the right psychiatric drugs would be a little bit... It's a huge problem in this country, and...
Yeah.
I wish more people
just
had
for
help.
Quality of life. It doesn't even have to be as severe as becoming a murderer. It's just about people think that mental illness has such a stigma that they're afraid to treat it within themselves. And
yeah.
I mean,
which he tried.
It's just sad.
And they tried to do it. So I don't know what it's like one thing when you get treatment or don't receive treatment at all, but then when you do receive it and
it's not working and
I don't know, maybe it was the drugs.
Or there is that thing where some people get on medication, see some improvement, and then stop taking it. And they're like, I'm normal again. Yeah. So, or they're having adverse reactions or side effects and whatnot, and then decide that they want to stop taking it.
Yeah.
So maybe he was coming in like off and on it.
Yeah. And especially as like a young kid like that too, you're not really too concerned with that stuff.
Right. You're like, oh, I'll make it. It's cool.
Yeah. So... the most moving parts of this was the victim statements to me.
Oh, no.
You ready?
Man.
And do you not like, this is like, I just like to see, I mean, obviously the details are very sad and like the details, like I can only hear about someone getting decapitated so much. But let's hear the victim statement. So the first came from Ben Crockett, Jacob's father. So he started by thanking the district attorney's office, the Stillwater Police Department, and the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. And remember, he's a state trooper too. Yeah. So he said, this has been the hardest 10 months of our lives. He basically talked about his thoughts the day of the killing once he had heard that Jacob had been stabbed. He said, I remember running to my car and thinking the whole time, please God, not my son. Oh. He then continued with some father-son stories and stated how Jacob's laugh will never leave his mind. He said, I always tried to teach my boys the difference between good people. And then he turned to Isaiah and said, and evil people. And then he called Isaiah a coward and selfish, which is just funny. It instills those Christian beliefs of good versus evil. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know how you thought this kid was like a Satanist and how you could be when people around him are just instilling all these good qualities. So he said, this tragedy has absolutely ripped all of our hearts out. Nothing will ever ease the pain of the loss. Said Jacob, our sweet child, he was so easy to love. None of us will ever be the same. We will forever cherish the 19 years and 3 months we had with him. Oh. He's little. He's such a baby. Oh my God.
That's so young. Oh, what a tragedy.
And he just basically was talking about how could you do this to your friend? Like he just helped you so much. Like,
yeah, he was always there for you, and this is what you turned around to do.
You were at his fucking house. I just don't get it. If I invite you into my house, like, oh my God. Yeah. He said they loved you and they trusted you. You're a coward. He never even had a chance. We feel your life should be over. He ended the testimonial with more, harsh words. He said that if he ever sees the gates of heaven, Jacob will be there waiting for him with a loving smile on his face. Oh. He said, you damn don't deserve that. I can't.
Oh, God, I just got chills all over.
Right? Isn't that just,
Oh,
I don't know, but.
His poor father. That's awful.
So at this point, Samuel, who was his brother, stormed out of the courtroom and slammed the door.
Yeah. That's got to be really rough.
Of course. Yeah, because
I
it's true,
can't even
too.
imagine.
And Ben had continued to speak basically about how they'd, treated him like a brother and even invited him in his home. And he finished by stating, although we wish death for Isaiah, we don't wish hell for him, and we hope he finds Christ.
Oh.
Which is funny because he's the zealot. Not funny, but it's just ironic, I guess.
Yeah. His motivation was Jesus.
Exactly. And you just now you have.
And now they're calling you out like, fool, you don't know Jesus.
Exactly. You don't know my Jesus. But the next statement was given by the mom. And she just kind of started by addressing stages of grief. And she had said Jacob always had a smile for those who needed it. And she was really happy about, the day of justice for her son. And she kind of made a point to say that, that Isaiah's actions weren't going to destroy her or her family. And Jesse, like you were saying, remember how, the thing with twins and how it would really affect him? But he told the court he has 2 therapists and is on medication to help him cope with the death of his brother. So he really took it hard. He said at times, I find it
good that he's getting help, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what he needs. All the support and, positive influence and people around him in addition to professional help,
Exactly. Because I'm coping with, I'm the type to cope with substances or something.
Right.
So, which is exactly just
But that's
cycle.
the way that he's going to get through it. They're doing the right thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, at times I find it hard to remember Jacob's voice, but after some time of thinking hard on it, I get it back, and I also hear God's voice whisper, I am with you. I'm sorry, this was his mom saying this. So at that point, it was kind of hard to hear the sounds. It was kind of hard to hear her statement because everyone in the crowd was crying and just sniffling and just you couldn't even hear her saying her statement. So the last statement was given by the brother, Jesse. He said, my heart's been ripped out, trampled on, and spit on. He basically talked about what he'd never get to do with his brother. He said, I'll never get to call him with exciting news again or see him get married and have his kids call me Uncle Jesse. But then he turned to Isaiah and told him he forgives him. So Isaiah was found guilty of murder in the 1st degree, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the option of parole. As a part of the plea deal, he received psychological treatment while he was incarcerated. The judge Corley then basically said his statement to Isaiah, and he said, this act that you did commit, you will remember every day in prison what you did to him until you no longer exist. Isaiah then waived his right to an appeal process, and he was transported to federal prison as soon as possible. Basically outside, everyone was just giving hugs and being super supportive, and both families were kind of hugging, the Marins and the Crockett's. And they said, I don't think Jacob or Isaiah would want this to keep us from being friends. Raul Marin basically said about his friendship with Jesse. So they were like brothers or whatever. He said, my brother was crazy. He said, Isaiah was always trying to find his placement in life.
Oh, I mean, that's big of them because it's very easy, and you see it in a lot of cases where the family members really go at each other.
Yeah.
And I think there is this sense of powerlessness that it is kind of happening to all of you.
Yeah.
Because on the victim side, you lost someone, and on the murderer's side, you didn't have any control over what they did, but you still often, the family members, they defend them.
Yeah, of course.
And so they'll always go at it. You'll see outside of courthouses screaming matches and all sorts of stuff. And I think that is a testament to their character and their family upbringing, and their kind of prioritizing positivity and love over other things, that they would come together and, recognize that their bond is stronger.
Yeah. And
than
forgiveness.
Whatever, happens.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they were friends. Those families did know each other.
Right. So,
and I don't think this is a huge town,
right.
what I mean, Stillwater. So,
yeah, that's really, really amazing that they could really find that within them to still be loving and forgiving.
Yeah. Even Jesse said, I don't think Isaiah was evil. I think a lot of this could have been avoided if he got the proper medical attention.
Oh.
And I believe Isaiah's sister or one of his, I don't know, Malachi, I don't know if that's a girl or boy's name, but said the sentencing was just and necessary about their family member.
Yeah.
Basically, the mom and the dad just wanted to focus on Jesse and being supportive of him, and because he's the one who really, it seemed, had the hardest time with it.
Yeah, of course.
So basically, when the two families were departing, the mom walked over to the brothers and said, "Be good boys, honor Jacob that way," you know?
Aww.
And so again, to show you where it really comes, like how his family just seems to be more Christian and more like the father said, "My family has a deep-rooted faith in God. We know that Jake is in heaven. We knew that the minute it happened, that has never been in question. Certainly, our hearts were broken and we miss him tremendously, but our knowledge that he is in heaven waiting on us, that gets us through our day." So,
well, that is one positive thing about religion. I'm not a religious person, but there is part of me that envies that, like, really concrete knowledge that you're going to see your loved ones again.
yeah.
I don't really have that, like, but I look at other people and I'm like, it really helps people get through grief. It helps people be survivors. It really does serve them well in a lot of ways, you know? That's definitely a positive aspect of religion.
And there's I was checking it out too, because there's a Facebook page, Rest in Peace, Jacob Crockett. And it's just awesome. It's just one of their friends, Emily Perry, is one of the page monitors, and she's just, everybody on there just posts their own pictures from him, and he's just adorable. He was just really sweet, and I kind of tried to look on there, and you could just see the love that everybody had for them.
That's good. And that probably helps a lot of the people that are friends and family that, you know, want to remember him in a positive way.
Yeah, and remember I sent you the thing and it was like, we're not here to talk about the details of his death or just don't bring up the story. It's just, you know, any of your stories about him and everything like that.
Right.
So.
We want to remember his qualities, his accomplishments, like the positive aspects of who he is as a person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they said there was about 800 to 900 people that attended the funeral.
Wow.
Which is insane.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
There will be only like 3 people at my funeral.
Same here.
Definitely not my mom after this episode.
I'll be doing death stuff in the corner, running into fucking poles.
But that really does speak to the kind of impact that he had on his community, because we're not talking about a large town.
No,
you
that
know?
has to
like,
be the entire
that's a lot of
fucking high
people
school.
if you live in LA or New York, where it's just dense as fuck and highly populated. But if you're talking about a smaller town, I mean, that's really big numbers and a lot of people that have been touched by you.
That's insane. I couldn't even think of a church that would fit,
right?
Or just anything like that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's really speaks volumes about you know, what kind of person he was.
Exactly.
And how many people loved him.
And at 19. Like, seriously didn't have a lot of friends at 19, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
I believe the same friend that I quoted in the beginning, I just want to close with this. He said, a longtime friend said, "I want people to look at him as someone who you could be proud to say was your best friend. Someone who was fun to hang out with, fun to talk to, always smiling, always willing to give you a hug, and someone who just had a heart of gold. Even though it sounds like a cliche, he was a good Christian boy." And that was the story of Jacob Andrew Crockett.
Whew.
Yeah, there wasn't so many details about him being decapitated and all that, and I just couldn't do it. Once I was reading about it, I just seemed like he was such a loved person.
Yeah.
That just the statements from everyone just seemed so nice. But it really sucks that Isaiah came from, like, seriously, the death of his father is very similar to exactly what happened with Jacob. So I don't know if it was the stress of that, and let me show you a picture of him.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much had to do with childhood trauma of, you know, having knowledge of that happening to your parent and, you know, by the direction of your other parents, you know, that maybe there was just constant plague of nightmares or, you know, some sort of something that really wouldn't let him go, you know?
Exactly. And you have to have, I mean, again, to murder someone or even to set that up, you have to be a certain type of person, and that's someone that's your mom, you know, and then your dad's gone, and then you live with your grandparents, and then It's just pretty sad. But you ready?
So murder runs in the family? Is that what it is?
Yes. You ready to see?
Let me take a look at this.
Sober or no?
Oh.
That wasn't the I was expecting not at all. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. You want to see him?
He's a mess.
Here's him with the sword walking on Highway 51.
Wait, what?
Remember, he was caught with the...
Yeah, but...
It's like a machete sword and like a black thing that he's carrying with a cross. That's like a photo, surveillance photo.
So I couldn't see it from right here because of the glare from the computer. It just looked like the mugshot with just black next to it. That's why I leaned over. That's spooky as shit and looks exactly like the same walk that the Columbiners had.
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought.
He really could be a spitting image of the Columbiners.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Which is funny because he's the one in all black. He's the one that looks like he could be, you know.
The Hesher.
Oh, you want to see Jacob? Now you got to see Jacob. Like, how cute. He kind of reminds us of our friend Wade.
Oh, he is baby Wade.
He's just so cute. And...
Small town Wade. He's like if Wade never was in LA.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
He's
got
just
those
so
influences of fashion.
He's got volume in his hair. He's just a really handsome kid. This kid is adorable, and I'm just so sad.
You know he's a good person because of the volume.
He's just so cute, and
the closer the hair is to God, you know.
He's just so cute, and it's just really sad. And
man,
there wasn't a lot. It was
but
really
they do
small
really
town murder.
look like babies.
They
They're
are
so
babies,
very young,
and the one on drugs is older, which is crazy to me.
By how much?
He was 21 or 22, and
Still
that was 2
babies.
or 3 years. Yeah, they're just babies, and they don't know what they're thinking.
Wow.
So,
oh my God.
Sorry. I should have done Zappos. I
would have really liked to talk about shoes.
Yeah. I was sad. So don't do drugs. Definitely no synthetic marijuana. And
dude, stay away from spice.
I don't
and whatever those seeds were.
Datura.
Yeah. No swords.
Are they like chia?
Exactly. We tried to make a chia gnome recently.
Oh, that's cool.
it only sprouted from the dick. I'm not even joking.
Full bush.
It was just full bush and no beard whatsoever. It's the weirdest thing.
That's my kind of gnome.
I took a bunch of pictures. I gotta send them to you.
Yes, full bush gnome. You just poured water on it and chia.
Well, we gave up on it because it was like, no, we're not gonna have this happen. This is just weird. He started making us uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Just like your junk is mad aggressive.
Yeah, never blinking. I get it. That always freaks me out. So. Z Zealots.
That's Z Zealot
Zealots.
Part 2. And
I got it.
Okay, you got this.
Panamera, Chandler, Mylisha, Ashley, Stacy.
I really don't think you got any of them right.
No, I got Chandler. Go fuck yourself.
So, Alicia.
I said that, Alicia.
You said Mylisha.
Because she's my Leisha. Like, she belongs to me. She got me. You know.
Alicia Chandler. Bridget. Jessica.
I said Jessica.
Kayla.
Mariana.
And then again, a very happy birthday
to Madeline.
Mr.
President Madeline. Happy birthday.
So thank you so much for listening to another episode of Murder Dictionary Podcast.
Yes.
If you want to get some merch items, some bonus episodes, whatever stuff like that, we've got our thread list for big stuff and Patreon for the little guys. Mm-hmm. And if you want some links to the resources that we use this week for research, you can read more about the story in the links. And
what are we doing next? What's coming up? Tell me what's upcoming.
I have another zealot.
I
have one more zealot. And then back to letter A. Because I know a lot of people, I feel like it takes people a minute to catch on to the alphabet thing.
Yeah.
And which I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe we don't say it all the time. But yeah, now that we're at Z, we're going to start at the beginning of the alphabet again. So we're going back to letter A.
Bringing it back.
And I've already started doing some writing. So
A for Axe Brothers? I remember.
Dude.
What's A? Whoa, no, don't tell me. Tell me.
Yeah,
off
it's
air.
a secret. It's a secret.
Is it asshole?
Yes.
Cool.
So yeah, next week we'll do another Z, and then after that, we might start right away. Maybe take a week off or something, just because I need to sleep. I never sleep
You
anymore.
know what? Yeah, I'm sorry. You
So
sleep it
I
up.
might take a week off, but
Do it.
other than that, we'll just be back for letter A after Z.
Yeah, I could make
It's
whale
the
noises
alphabet.
on a Patreon episode.
Dude, yes. I'm all for that.
Okay, cool.
And I will be the dolphin. So you ready to whale noise and chill?
Come on, you dolphin.
That's the worst. Whale.
Is that a dolphin?
That's like a dolphin that breeded with a chihuahua or something.
With a chihuahua? Brrrah, brrrah. Do they do that? Brrrah. That's dolphin, right?
I don't even know what you're doing. But yeah, that.
Okay,
totally.
cool. All right.
Whatever
Yeah.
animals that you just made up, you did the perfect impression of them.
All right.
So we'll see you next week with more animal noises.
Cool. It's true crime and pretend like I know what I'm doing.
Bye.
Bye.
And now, an ad from Dad.
All right, save money on car insurance when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Can I take these off? All right. What is this? This looks good. Wow, that's well made. Where did you get this? I'm talking to you with the hair. Yeah, where did you get this? It's good stuff. That's solid. That's not veneer, that's solid stuff.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
And now, a thought from Geico Motorcycle.
It took 15 minutes to take a spirit animal quiz online
Please be the cheetah. Please be the cheetah.
and learn your animal isn't the cheetah, but the far less appealing blobfish.
Oh, come on.
To add insult to injury, you could have used those 15 blobfish minutes to switch your motorcycle insurance to Geico.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance.